Greg and his two friends, Josh and Damien, had planned on going for a road trip to Naivasha during the weekend and return on Sunday evening. They began their trip at around 3 p.m. Everything was perfect. The ride was smooth, no traffic. The fluffy white clouds in the sky drifted lazily in the gentle breeze. They had packed all they needed for the trip: drinks, snacks, camera, phone, charger, power bank, and other stuffs they needed for the road. They talked, laughed, made stupid jokes, and took many pictures. The trip took about 1 hour and 20 minutes. When they arrived in Naivasha, they headed to one of the best clubs, Poisonous Volume Club, and partied like never before as the DJ mashed up the place with his awesome playlists. Later that night, they checked into a hotel. Greg was the only one who was sober, since he only took just 1 bottle of alcohol. The rest of his friends were as drunk as a skunk. He took the keys from the receptionist. The receptionist told him that the room next to his was locked, and he shouldn't dare knock or try to open it, even when somebody called out for help. Greg didn't think much of it, and dragged his drunk friends to the room. When he passed the room that the receptionist told him a while ago, he noticed the door was painted black, while the rest of the doors were painted light brown. He was woken up by a woman's voice. She was begging him to help her. He didn't see anyone in the room, only his friend Josh, who was dead asleep snoring. Where was Damien? Maybe he had gone out to smoke and he'd come back later. He then heard her again, but the voice was coming from the other side of the wall next to him. He sat on his bed and remembered what the receptionist told him. The woman from the other side of the wall went silent. Greg then went to sleep. After 30 minutes or so, Greg was woken up by a loud scratching noise coming from the other side of the wall next to him. It was as if someone was scraping their fingernails against it. The noise went on for a while, and in as much as he tried ignoring it, the noise was becoming a nuisance to him. He realized that he was now alone in the room. Where was Josh? Greg was now confused. It was so unlike his friends to just wake up and leave without telling him. Something was not adding up. He saw that both their phones were still at the same place where they had left them. Both Josh and Damien would never leave their phones whenever they went out. The scratch noise continued, and Greg got out of bed. He wanted to go check on his friends and see if they were in the car or just outside goofing around. When he got out of the room, the curiosity inside him overpowered him, and he peeped through the keyhole of the black painted door. The room was completely empty and was dim lit. He noticed that there was a woman who was sitting with her bare back facing him. Her skin was a bit pale, and her hair was quite long. It fell to her shoulders. He soon realized what he was doing, and immediately stopped and stood there pondering what to do next. He didn't find his friends in the car, and when he asked the receptionist about it, she said she did see 2 guys walk past her and described them. The descriptions fitted his friends perfectly, and she said that they told her they were going for a walk to sober up and explore the surroundings. That was Damien's habit, and he loved walking late at night. Josh would accompany him, though not most of the time. Greg then decided to go and get some rest. The next morning, there was no sign of his friends, but he didn't worry. Greg was always the late bird, and they were always the early birds. Their phones were still in the same position, and so were their things. Probably they were on their way back to the room from a long night of exploration. It wasn't something new. They would always go out for long walks, or even go to clubs and continue partying. Greg had forgotten his phone charger at the car, and his phone was low battery. As he left the room, he passed the room next to his. He decided to have one last peek into it. When he looked through the keyhole, he didn't see anything. It was pitch black. He went downstairs and headed towards the receptionist, who smiled warmly at him. "I trust you slept well last night, sir," she asked him politely. He explained to her what happened, and he noticed how her face turned pale. "Are you okay?" Greg asked, concerned. The receptionist told Greg what happened in that room. "A man murdered his wife in that room and escaped. He was never found. Rumors has it that the woman still lives there and calls out for help late at night. She has pale skin and has shoulder-length hair." The receptionist was now trembling. Greg thought that the story was just made up to stop people from booking that room. "You know what's scary about her?" she asked. Greg just stared blankly at her. She went on. "The scary thing about her are her eyes. Anyone who looks at them dies. The people who saw her ghost and looked at her eyes died. That's why we had to lock her in that room, so that she doesn't get out." Greg was starting to feel unease. He didn't know what to think. The receptionist then said, "Her eyes are blank, pure black as coal."